So my name is Anjana Venkatesan. I'm from Mason, Ohio, and my project is The Everglades and Beyond, Understanding Wetland Carbon Dynamics. Both of my parents are from India, and they actually came here to the United States to kind of pursue their passions and create a life where specifically their children could do whatever they wanted to do. And that's always been a really strong influence. My parents have always encouraged me to do things that I find exciting and, follow my strengths. And so when I came to college and I discovered how much I loved research, it was nice to be able to actually follow through on that and follow my passions. What my research does is it takes a whole bunch of data from 2 different sites in the Florida Everglades, where we're constantly just tracking measurement changes in both CO2 concentrations and methane concentrations. So we can actually see how much is either going into the environment or how much is being released into the atmosphere. The reason this is important is because carbon in the atmosphere is a greenhouse gas, which means it can trap and reflect radiation from the sun, and that does drive changes with things like climate. A lot of people want to care about carbon dynamics, but I don't think they always feel that they can. They immediately assume that it's going to be a topic that's too complicated for them. And so the fact that I could take to them this complicated topic that might seem scary at first and make them connect with it on a way that has nothing to do with political aspirations or agendas, I think that was really powerful for people. Well, I feel like science just by itself is really cool, Understanding how the world works is probably one of the most, in my opinion, important things that you can do with your life. Research is a passion because I think being able to discover things that we don't know yet, just fill those gaps in the knowledge base of all of humanity, is incredibly important. And I feel like it's one of those ways that my life becomes significant because I'm doing something that doesn't just benefit me, it benefits every scientist who's going to come after me, and it kind of acknowledges and pays homage to every scientist who came before me.
Our final speaker is Anjana Venkatesan. Anjana is from the Department of Biological Sciences. The title of her talk is The Everglades and Beyond, Understanding Wetland Carbon Dynamics.
Not so long ago, our government approved $8.6 billion to be spent restoring the Florida Everglades. Now, that seems like a pretty big price tag, but if you stop and think about it, there's lots of reasons why the Everglades should be preserved. I'm sure just off the top of your heads, you all can think of things like conservation or tourism or maybe just alligators. But a term that might not as readily come to mind is carbon dynamics. That's what my research is on, and hopefully by the end of my talk, I'll convince all of you that it's one more reason the Everglades are important. Now, you might be asking, carbon? Why the Everglades? And the answer is simple, really. You see, the Everglades constitutes the largest continuous wetland ecosystem in all of North America, and wetlands play a really important and unique role in carbon cycling. Wetlands are broadly classified as carbon sinks, which just means that they take more carbon out of the atmosphere than they release back into it, kind of like a giant carbon sponge. The reason they can do this is that water level that they maintain above the soil. It causes plants, when they die, to form peat or marl rather than release carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere through decomposition. Because all of that carbon then stays in the ecosystem, this is called carbon sequestration. There's another side to the story, however, because that same water level also promotes the production of methane. And as a result, wetlands are the largest natural source of methane in the world. Now, it's true that there are more molecules of carbon dioxide being sequestered than molecules of methane being emitted, but that doesn't really give us the whole story of what's going on. Because you see, methane, as a greenhouse gas, is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. That means a single molecule of methane can trap and reflect as much radiation from the sun as 25 molecules of carbon dioxide. That's where my research comes in. See, I don't think it's enough to just describe how these molecules are moving between the environment and the atmosphere. I think it's important to talk about what they're doing when they get there, which is why my research looks at the rates of carbon dioxide sequestered compared to the rate of methane emitted, and then uses that ratio to give us a net global warming potential of an ecosystem. The really cool part is you can tie the changes in that ratio over time back to environmental variables like rainfall or water table level or air temperature. This means that we have a really awesome predictive tool for knowing what changes in the future are going to do to the global warming potential of an environment. So that when things like that Florida restoration plan comes through and changes the water table level, or climate change happens and the air temperature changes, we can predict what that's going to do to the global warming potential. And that's not just for our Everglades, that's for wetlands all over the world. So the next time someone mentions the Everglades, remember they're important for more than alligators. Thank you. Great. Honestly, I don't know how it went. I can't remember anything as soon as I walk off, but I feel good, so I think that's a good sign.